started. Okay. So this is Melissa at CIM, and today we're going to cover MICIS bill posting, MICIS bill editing, including mass edits, as well as the variance verification module, and all the associated reports regarding that. And, you know, like I said before, please feel free to interrupt and ask questions as needed. So MICIS bill posting is available. You have to have access to MICIS to log in. And when you do that, you're going to want to go into MICIS bill, or the billing section, and then bill posting. And it'll come to this screen. The bill posting section is only to be used for posting new bills on new days. And as such, it's kind of like vendor billing in that regards, is that you cannot edit through this window. And like we mentioned in the prior training, if you weren't on that training, you can also use vendor billing to do the same work. MICIS is older. We're working on replacing it. I'm actually hearing some background noise, so if you could mute your phones, that would be great, so that we don't hear any other interruptions in the background, unless you need to speak, of course. And anyhow, the bill posting module has some display issues, as does other parts of MICIS. It has, that we'll see as we go through today. We have issues with MICIS not showing prompts on top of the screen sometimes, which you have to work around. I haven't encountered that, thankfully, for demo today, for when I was prepping, so hopefully we don't run into that. So it is better if you can use vendor billing instead of this, but you will still have to use MICIS for the bill editing process that we'll go over. So I'm not going to spend too much time in bill posting. I'm kind of going to whip through it and show you the key features of it. But other than that, we're going to focus more on the bill editing and mass editing abilities that you have. Okay? So when you go into bill posting, you first need to concentrate on the selection criteria on the bottom left. You have all these various options here. You can search by for a specific person, a vendor, service, procedure, fund source, or care plan line, any and all of the above. Okay? So you don't need to fill all of these in to find something. You can just fill the one in. The first thing you also need to do is you also need to choose which month and year you want to post for. It defaults to last month, so if you need to change it, you would want to change it right away. I'm actually going to leave it at this for now. And you, for instance, if you're posting a whole vendor's bills, you may choose just to want to enter the vendor ID instead of putting in a client ID. So I'm going to put in a vendor ID. I've put in our demo, and then I click the Find button. Okay? When you click Find, at the top, it's going to show you all the care plan lines that are open in January of 2015 for that vendor I specified. So this could be a very long list for some of your vendors that are large. Some of the vendors you may have very few in here. This may not be how you want to search. You may want to do it client by client. That is fine. But that's one way you can do. Another way is if you want to clear the criteria, you can clear it here. There's also a change criteria item. So if I wanted to change which vendor I was looking for, I could click here and then click the change, and it will enable that in white that I can then modify this. There are lookups to each of these, so you can click the drop down and type in who you're looking for. So you can do it that way and then select the vendor. If you want to change all the criteria, not just one particular item, there's a CA button up the top that you can click to change all. So then now I can put in a specific client, etc. Okay? So I'm going to pick, go into Pillsbury Doughboy, which I could have gotten just by using the top, but I'm going to do it this way. And then click Find, and then it's just going to limit it down to show me Pillsbury Doughboy. So up at the top it shows you the full client ID, their client name, the vendor, the service code, the procedure code and standard remark if applicable, the fund source, and the start and stop date. The other column here is the end column, and this is a note column. And if the note is filled, it has an asterisk in there, that means that there's a note for the field, and I'll show you that in a few seconds. So you would then, first what you would want to do is to click on a specific line that you want to use, and then you would post for whatever service you want. So I'm clicking on each 2015. These bills, you can see there's two different colors in here right now. We have the grayed out dates, and we have ones that are still highlighted in black. The grayed out ones are days that have been posted already. So you can't touch these bills. If you hover over it, it says the data is already in MASCL, and if I clicked on it, it's going to tell you that it's already in MASCL. You have to use MASCL Edit to make changes to that date. Okay? But these other dates are all available. These ones actually are showing, and these ones are showing because it's coming from the templates or scheduled exceptions that you haven't still set up in the background. Even though the bills were posted already for that month, the templates still come forward on the days that you didn't post before. In some cases that may be good, in some cases not so good. The reason for it is so that you could post additional bills should you need to. If they maybe forgot to bill a day, then you can still see what the template had in it. Okay. At the top, it tells you what the total units and total costs for the month are. This is deceiving because right now, this amount is showing you all of the dates in the month, and that includes the 2nd and the 9th, which were not posted. So the grayed out ones are posted, and the ones in black are not. And it's totaling the two of those together to get to 60. So the 60 units at the $201 total is not what was posted before. Okay, you would need to run a report for that to get that correct, because it's including everything that it's showing in this calendar here. Okay. One other thing you can do too is if you don't know what these codes mean at the top and aren't sure when you're clicking around to figure out which one you really want to post against, you can hit the F4 key on your computer, and up will pop a box that tells you the descriptions for all the codes. So it tells you what the vendor's name is, the service, if there was a procedure in standard remark, it would show that, as well as the fund source description. And then you just have to click off of it, and it will go away. Okay? So that's a shortcut that even I forget is there sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just clear this out. And when I clear it, it's going to ask me, do you want to save your work before clearing it? Now, the reason it's asking me that is because these two bills right here are not posted. And you do not want to save that if you did not just receive bills to post for that date. Okay? So you would most likely, almost all cases, click no to that prompt, because usually you're adjusting days and stuff as you're posting bills. So you would not want to save those extra things that are just coming from the template and scheduled exceptions. Okay? So I am going to pull up a different client. I'm going to pull up Shira. So I clicked on the drop down because I don't remember her ID. And then I click OK, and then click Find. And then that finds all of the care plans that are open for Shira. Okay? So if I click on S5161 here at the top, you'll see that nothing is showing up in the month for this one. The reason for that is that there is no template set up for this month, so no days are coming forward, no template or scheduled exception. You'll notice that the start date was January 15th. I'm in January right now. When it's a PERS service like this, this easily can happen to you. And what this means is probably what happened is you set it up for the 15th of the month, you started the template on the 15th of the month, but the template is set up for the first day of the month because you wanted them to bill at the first of the month every month. And if you do that, you skip January, which you still need to pay for. So you would have to go back and fix this at some point. You don't have to do that now. You could post the bill for the 15th of the month since that's the first day, or whatever day you want to bill for because it's a monthly service for this one. Then go back and fix the care plan later to fix the templates, which I think I'm going to use this example later to show you how we're going to have to do that. But so we can do that, and I'm going to go ahead and just post this bill anyways. So what I did is I clicked on the 15th, and then up comes the units and the cost per unit. You can change these if you want to, but it's defaulting to what is in the vendor maintenance table for this vendor and for this service code. So it is putting in already the default rate of $38, which is probably the monthly rate for this. And then you just click OK, and you're done. Okay, so I just clicked on the day. That brings that box up. And at the top, I see my totals. That's what I want to post. The next thing you would want to do is specify the invoice number, if you have one. If you don't, you can leave this blank. It's not required. It makes sometimes things easier for finding things on reports and such, but it's not required. So, and then I'm just making something up here. So then I would just click Save once that's entered, and then when I click Save, this now turns to gray because it's been saved. And now I can't touch that date. If I click on it, I get this message. Okay, I could add different dates, but I can't touch that one. All right, the next care plan I want to show you here is the H2015. The H2015 is showing me what's in the templates and scheduled exceptions, and you'll see that we've got a variety of colors in this one. We've got the black, which we know that means it's not been posted yet, so we could post those, but we also have blue and green. The blue is scheduled exceptions. That means that somebody went into the care plan calendar and changed the amount of units or added a new day for this month, okay, for this particular date of service. The green ones are non-services, okay? Now, non-services are in two different forms. One could be, like this one, it's set to 0, because if the person's non-service reason is because the participant canceled or the participant was hospitalized or it was because of the participant that it was canceled, the scheduled exception is automatically entered to take out whatever was pre-authorized, okay? Because the plan of care is based on what the client's wishes are or what the client wants. So it would be taken out if they were hospitalized or they canceled for the day, etc. So that it no longer is planned for 4 units on that day is what it looks like based on what I'm seeing in front of me, okay? If it was a vendor reason that the non-service occurred, then this green would still show the 4 units at 3:35, okay? To show that actually in here it probably won't, now that I say that. In here it will still say 0, but if you went into the care plan you would see the 4. The reason for that is that you still don't want to post that day, so it's not going to show you that information because there's a non-service on there. So you can find out more about the non-service right here if you want. If you right-click, you can choose non-service, and it's going to tell you what was put in. So in this one, participant canceled, okay? And you can then click OK or NA or cancel to get out of here. And then if I look at this one, this is also a participant canceled, okay? So the other thing you can do is the scheduled exception you cannot access, you know, what that was before or anything. But there's other things in here that you can do on a right click. If, for instance, maybe on the scheduled exception, maybe you authorized the 8 and they still only did the 4, you could right click and use this post default. The 4 is the default rate, and you could use that as a quick choice. Otherwise, you could click in here and change it to 4, whatever you want to do. It will still remain blue because it's still got a scheduled exception on that day, even though we aren't posting what the scheduled exception is. But you can go through here and you would just change any of these dates to what the bill really is, okay? And of course, I'm randomly changing these, but you're going to want to, you know, make decisions based on what was authorized versus what was actually done to make sure it's approved before you post that much. But for my purposes, I'm just changing some stuff, okay? The other thing that could happen to you is in non-service situations, you may have had a non-service and this particular service may have been done more than once in the day, like they had an AM visit and a PM visit, and you may have put the non-service in because the AM visit didn't happen, but the PM one still did. So even in non-service situations, you may find yourself wanting to post a bill because of that kind of thing. And the easiest way to get that back is to use that post default, because if I click on the 0 days, I have to manually fill in that cost and not mess it up. But if I use that, then at least the cost is there, and then I could adjust the units to whatever it needed to be. Okay. You can also do things like 0 the day out. So if this didn't happen, I can right-click and click 0 day, and it switches it to zeros to say that they didn't go out that day. Okay, they were authorized to, but the bill didn't come in for that day. So I could 0 day, and then that won't post. You can also post non-services from here, just like we looked at them. So if I know that on the 23rd the vendors put on the bill that they didn't go out there, maybe due to a snowstorm or something, you could click on non-service and enter it this way. And in here is all the list of the reasons of why. So in this case, vendor inclement weather. You choose that, and then you can put in a note if you want, and then you click OK, and then it changes it into a non-service and enters that. Okay, so that works as well in here. So if you didn't get the non-services posted in the care plans, you can also post them in the bills. Non-services are not required, but to be entered in our system, I mean, you have to track them at your agency for the waiver program. But if you do post it in here, then you have an electronic way to track all that. So your agency may not use these, and that's fine. They probably have a different way that they're tracking this. But if they are, then this is the way you would enter them in the system. Okay. The other things that are available is if, for instance, you find out that the participant went in the hospital the 26th to the 30th. Okay. If you find that out during the billing process, you're probably going to want to get rid of all 3 of these days because they shouldn't have went out. So there's 2 options up here. There's this button here that clears the entire calendar, and you wouldn't want to do that because that's going to clear off everything else. But there's also a clear date range, and if you click that, it's going to prompt you for what days you want to do it for. So you would put in the 26th through the 30th, and when you click OK, it's going to say, it's going to prompt you for a non-service. If it's not a non-service reason or you don't want to post that, you just click NA or cancel. If you do want to post a non-service, such as the person's hospitalized, then you choose that and you can click OK, and it changes those into non-services. Okay. Clear entire calendar, the reason you'd probably use that is if you have a situation where a person is allowed to change the days, that the vendor doesn't have to go out the exact days that you had authorized, you may want to clear the entire calendar and start over from scratch to post the whole month versus trying to adjust all the different days. So that would be one example of clearing the entire calendar. It's just easier to start from scratch than to go through and post all the days. So that erases it does the same thing as this, as the clear range. It just does it for the whole month versus a certain period of days. And you can choose to post the non-service, which in that case, if you wouldn't, because you wouldn't want to non-service the whole month. Otherwise, so you'd click the NA or cancel to that, and then it would not put these in green in that situation. Okay. Then once you're done with that bill and this matches the totals, then you would save this bill as well. Okay. Right now I did not put an invoice number in. You can, this is optional. It does have the ability though to remember the last one that you entered, and it shows that right here. So this is the last one that I had put in. So, and if you click this red button here, then it's going to populate that here so that it will save now this bill with that invoice number. Otherwise it won't save it with an invoice number. Okay, and you can click Save. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you, for this same care plan, you'll notice that we now have an asterisk in the end column. That means that there's a care plan note posted. This button up here will show the care plan note. If you click that, it's going to give you the top level of the care plan information, and then here's the note that was posted. So you can see that that one-time increase on the 2nd was because they needed to take the person to pick up prescriptions. Okay, so that's why we had a scheduled exception there. You know, the note may or may not be there for things like this. It's just an example of how you would access the note. Okay. The other thing you can do at any time while you're posting is you can run a report. So if you forget where you left off, or you just want to run the report and print it out, you can click this button and up will come a prompt that you can choose to do the bill posting or the non-service report. I'm going to choose both. And it's going to show you only the bills you posted or the non-service you posted in this period that you've been in bill post. So if I went in and out of MICIS all day and I'm now back in, it's only going to show me the bills I posted since I've been back in, not the bills that I posted all day long. Okay? Because this report here available is a session-based report, and so it only remembers when you were in for this particular session. So if you open it up, then you'll see that it shows you the vendor, the invoice, the person, the service. If there was a procedure standard mark, it'll be listed here, the care plan line number, the fund source, and the description, the dates of service, how many units cost per unit, and the total cost are here. And then it goes to the next service. Okay, and if you had multiple clients, it would go to the next client, etc. for however much you had. You can choose to print this. If you'd like to, there's also some export features here. This is elsewhere in the user guide, but technically you could do this to a PDF if you have that ability. You have a PDF writer on your computer installed, so you can export to that, or you could do a CSV file if you wanted to save it, something you could open in Excel, for instance. There's Excel ones too. Disk file, that just means to save it to your hard drive, versus these other things they're pretty much dead in the water at this point. MICIS is that old. So when you're done with this, you just click X. That closes that report. And then the non-service report also generated, so it shows all the various non-services that were posted in this session. So you can see what I did So I put the inclement weather and I put the hospitalization for those 3 days when I cleared the date range. Okay. If there were notes, that would also appear on this non-service report. Okay. So basically what you're doing is you're going to go through line by line, click on the line, it's going to show you the bills available. You can click the repeat last button, click save. If this is exactly what was done, you just click save. If you have to make changes, you click on the days that need changes. I can easily, on the units, if I just backspace the units and click OK, that takes out the day. I don't have to do both the units and the cost, just the units will get rid of the day for me. You can also choose to right click and 0 day. That's the other option. And that 0 will not save. Okay, so if I click save right now, when I come back, these two came back from the template because I didn't choose to save those. Okay. You can do some sorting in here if you wanted to by clicking on these labels. If you had a whole bunch of stuff that you wanted to sort, it defaults to sort by person. So that's available. This here just clears everything off. It starts you with a brand new billing page. So if I click that, it's going to ask me again, do you want to save your work? It's because of these 232s that I did not post, which I do not want to post. So I say no, and then that clears everything back to basically like how I came into vendor billing, besides the month year was remain. Okay. And that's pretty much it for bill post. There's one other thing I want to show you, not related to really posting, but to some other display things in here. And if I pull up Superman and go to his T1000 care plan, I think it's, no, it's in December. Oh, this is the other thing that Bill Post does, is when you go into Bill Post for the first time, when you pull up a client for that month, say picked January 2015, they were in the hospital, and it will tell you right when you go in what dates they were in the hospital, so that you would know that for the 20th and ongoing, I do not want to post those bills because they were in the hospital. So this is pulling from the care setting status. So once you open, you find the client, that will pop up right away. That's another feature. Again, in vendor billing, you have something similar. It just shows it on the screen versus a pop-up like that. I want to actually go to December. Now, when I switch to December, it's going to give me an error that there's no care plans that exist. That's because it's searching for care plans when I flip that switch. So now I need to flip it to 2014. Click the Find button, and then up will pop all of the care plans open. And I wanted to click on this T1000. The reason I wanted to do this, and I wanted to show you, if you had made bill edits to any of these days, okay, on the bill post screen you're going to see a fuchsia colored number of the day of the week. That's to let you know that there are multiple bill lines on this day. And if I hover over the 31, you may have seen that it says multiple MB lines, mass bills, what that stands for. See detail. If you right click and choose view detail, you can see the various bills that are now posted on that day that got put in through bill edit. So you can see that originally it was 4 units. Now it's -4, and or they took out the 4 replacing it with an 8. So they upped it basically 4 units when they did the bill edit. So you can see in here the details of the edits as well, but you can't actually post them here. But you would be able to get to the detail. Now it's deceiving because at the top, this is not incorporating the detail of the change. So this is not including everything necessarily. Now, right now, actually, it shows only one bill from that view detail, and it happens to be it's showing the right one. So the 8 is the actually current. So the total actually is okay now, but it won't always be. Sometimes this bill will not be the amount that is the total. It could be that you had another 4 in there for the same day or something, and it's not going to show you 12. It's not going to add them up. It just picks one of those bills randomly and shows it on the screen. So this total here at this point, if you see a fuchsia number, this does not apply whatsoever. Okay? You can really only use these totals when you're doing the posting process and before you save. Once you save, these totals change to bring back whatever is in the templates and scheduled exceptions. And then after a period of time, if there was edits made, then those also are not necessarily accounted for in that total. Okay? So don't use bill post to find out how much you paid for a month, because it won't always be reliable. Okay? Unless every day is grayed out and there is no fuchsia days. Then it would match, but that's the only time it would. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. Told you I was whipping through that. When you exit Bill Post, it's automatically going to pop up to ask you if you want to run the 2 reports. You have the choice to do that, or you don't have to. These reports are not required. They may be useful to you, but I'm just going to go ahead and click Cancel. Okay. So moving on now into the bill editing area. And what I want to show you is if I want to, let's see, if I go to Bill Edit, here is the Bill Edit screen, and right now it's all blank. In order to do anything in Bill Edit, the very first thing you need to click is the magnifying glass. This is how you get the bill records to show up. And when you click that, you'll see a bunch of selection criteria. Just like in Bill Post, you do not have to fill in all of these criteria items. You can fill in as much as you want to. So you can choose your client, you can do it by vendor, you can do it by however you want to do it. For this case, I want to do Shira, and I want to do it for H2015. And let's just click OK because I can't remember. Okay. All right, so I'm pulling actually up the bills in January that were posted. And if you click on a line to figure out what, or to fill in the bottom half, okay? When you click on a line, it's going to allow it to show you what the descriptions are for each of these services. So if you're not sure, that will pop up. At the top, it shows, again, very similar information you saw on the previous screen, the client, vendor, service, procedure, standard, mark, fund source. The invoice number also shows you can drag these columns around to see that, but you'll notice you now have a left to right scroll bar. But I could minimize, this and get however I want it to look so that it fits on one page. The date is available here, the units, the cost per unit, and then there's 3 columns here. The V stands for verified. The ones with asterisks are verified. Okay, and what verified means is that it's a permanent bill in the system that is not going to ever change from this point on. Okay, and it goes through the variance verification process to become verified. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. If there is no asterisk, it's not verified. Then there's the M column. That means that this bill was sent to the state in a claim or encounter. So if you see an asterisk there, that is a little bit of a misnomer, however, because if you had if you're in the claims world and you posted a fixed code, let's say to resend the claim, it marks the bill as not sent anymore because it wants to send it for the next time to get it back to go again. So in that case, this asterisk would not be present now. So it is a little goofy in resending. Other things would be, in encounter world, if behind the scenes the state keeps rejecting for eligibility, we're automatically resending those. And so the system's automatically wiping out the sent MSA date. That field is in the mass bill table, and that's what's controlling this as well. So even if you see that it's not been sent, it may have been sent. So I wouldn't rely on that to tell you any information about it being sent or not. I rely on your reports inside the claims processing area. The A stands for adjusted. This is really not used anymore. This is like way long ago needed stuff. This was needed prior to HIPAA and HCPCS codes. Really, really old. That was when we had to send adjustment reasons to the state for any time we touched a bill. We don't have to do that anymore. We've pretty much removed all that stuff from the system. There's a couple places, I think, in Mass Edit that still do it. In a strange circumstance, we could run into that. Well, no, we won't run into it today because nothing's been sent to Medicaid in my demo system, so we will not run into that. But that's what that's about. So you can ignore that. That means absolutely nothing to you. So there's a key difference between verified and unverified bills. The key difference is that verified, you will never edit that particular line through Bill Edit. You can cause new bills to occur from making an edit, but you won't actually edit that original bill. Okay? Unverified, however, the ones without the asterisk like I'm clicked on here, you can change, and it doesn't create those new other bills. It just changes this line that I've got right here present. So if you make a mistake and post things you don't want to, you can go in here and you can change them to be what you did want them to be. You can delete them, and they go away. They're changed, whichever one you did. It just happens. Versus if they were verified, anything from that point on, it's going to create new lines tracking the work that you did, leaving a paper trail. Okay? So when you post, they automatically go in unverified, unless there is a setting that you may have had set from the old days that you can't actually set anymore in the preferences area to auto-verify when you post. So if you guys have that set up and you don't like it, we can turn that off. But you can't set it up at this point. It doesn't work because of our moving stuff out of MICIS. So anyhow, sidebar. So if I take this and I'm going to have to click the edit button, and when I click the edit button, it enables all of this information below. And let's say I messed up the invoice number. Okay, I didn't want this S on here. Then I could just backspace that out, click save, and it saved the edit. Okay, I could also click on that line and then click edit, and I could change this date to be the 3rd. Okay, maybe I messed that up, or maybe this is supposed to be 8 units, or even maybe this is supposed to be $3.40. Okay, you can change whatever you want. You can change this stuff. If you need to change it to a whole other person, go right ahead. Okay, you can. The only thing that matters is that whatever change you're making to this screen, you have to have a matching care plan line number. Okay, right now it's saved to this care plan line number, and you notice you can't edit that. It's because it finds it automatically. If I change the person on here, which I'm not going to do because I can't even think of who's got this and what their ID is. But you could change the client ID, and when you save that, it's going to look, do I have a care plan set up for that person, this vendor, this service, procedure standard mark, fund source, and in the date range that I'm trying to post a bill for? Is there a care plan that exists? If there is, it'll let you save it. If there's not, it's going to say, no, sorry, you're not. That's just not going to happen. So like if I bet I could find one actually. If I did, let me just change this to a 2. Okay, and then it's going to give you a message like this: unable to save, changes do not match care plan line. Okay, so you're limited a little bit in what you can change. You can't just change this into anything you want, but you do have some capabilities there. Now every bill you do, you can't keep going down the line and saving it. You have to save this or cancel this before you can move on to the next bill. So when you're done with your change, click save. So this in Bill Edit, what we're looking at right now is a 1-by-1 change. You'll notice every time I click save, it brings me back to the top of the screen. These are all sorted automatically by the order in which the bills were posted. So December obviously got posted before January, and so January 19th is my last bill in here, and I was playing with the January ones, and every time you save it, it goes back to the top. You can change the sorting if you want. You can change it to date. I actually suggest you do this to date, especially if you're looking to find out if there's been edits made on a date, which I'll show you in a few minutes here what that would look like. But the date will then show them in date order instead of the order they're entered, because otherwise all your edits that on verified bills go to the bottom of the list, and so you won't necessarily know that it's been edited in a quick view of it. Okay. There are some other things at the top I want to explain. If you want to delete a bill, an unverified one, you can. It goes away. You can also delete a verified bill. I'll show you that in a second. You can go search for another person by clicking this. The button here, Show Selection Criteria, shows you what you searched for when you came in here. So, you may say that I'm not seeing this, and I don't understand why it didn't come up. Well, you could click that button and go, oh, I see why. I put in a date range that was, December through January or whatever, or I picked a certain service in this case, and maybe I was looking for T1000. Obviously, I'm not going to get T1000 because I put in age 2015. So that's just a way to double check yourself. Mass Edit is how you would access that through here, which I'll show you a little bit. Then there's these 3 buttons. You'll probably never use them. It defaults to, these are filters, they're defaults to showing all the mass bill lines. If you want to see just the verified bills, then you can click that button, and then all those unverified bills are gone from my list. You could also say, show me the unverified ones. When you click that, all the verified ones go away. And if you click all, they all come back. Okay, so it's just a filter. It doesn't do anything besides change the view. Then you also have a report in here like bill posting that as you're editing, you can run that report and show what you want. There's also the help button, but it probably doesn't work for you because Windows is too new and it's too old of a help file. So use your printed user guide because it's the same thing as what that help file had in it. Okay, so Unverified bills just automatically change. I can just change them to whatever I want them to be. It changes. There's no paperwork trail. The verified bills, however, when you change those, it's going to create new lines. And let's say on the first here that we found out later that they had no timesheet when we audited the vendor. Okay, so we're going to take it away because we can't find any proof they actually did that day. So you'd click on that day, you'd click delete record, and it's asking you, are you sure? Yes. And when you delete it, because I sorted by date, which you can see down here is my date sort, it's going to put that a credit line now right underneath the one that I had just changed. Okay? So a verified bill, it will not go away. This stayed just as it was. It's still the 4 units, it's still verified, etc. Nothing changes about it. But it created a new line of -4 units to take out what was paid, to take that out to total it to 0 for the day. Okay? That's how bill edit works on a verified bill. Now, you'll notice this goes in as unverified. That means it's going to have to go through the variance verification process in order to become verified, to become another permanent bill. So, and that's important to remember because unverified bills are not sent in claim and in encounters. Okay? If it's unverified, it doesn't go because we want the bill to be permanent before we allow you to send that to the state. Okay? So that would have to happen at this point. You can also, let's say the third, it changes, it's supposed to be 8 units. Okay? You would click 8 and maybe they sent you another bill saying, sorry, we missed this one. It's supposed to be 8 units. You click edit, you change the unit, you click save, and then now I've got a 4, a -4, because it took out that original 4 and gives me a new one of 8. Okay? So it says, okay, forget what we did before, now we're going to pay 8. So you have to like add up all of these edits to know how much you really have on that date of service posted at this point. Okay? Because this is not 12 units, it's just the 8. So whenever you're editing, you always want to put in the new full amount. So if I'm going to add 4 units to this, I'm not going to click edit and save. Because if I edit it and save 4 units here, then it didn't do anything. It's going to stay 4 units. It actually, I think, is going to put, yeah, it's not going to let you do it. There's nothing to save because you didn't change anything. If you had changed something small like the invoice or something, then it would have done something. But because I didn't do that, it's not going to touch it. Speaking of invoice, invoice actually is the only thing you can change to a verified bill that will not cause credit lines. So I could say, okay, this one, I want it to have the S, okay? And when you click Save, it's just going to change it. So if I go back down to the 5th here, which I was editing, there is no credit line. It goes from the 3rd, the 5th, to the 8th, and now I have an S on that invoice number. So invoice numbers can be changed on a verified bill with no credit lines being created. If you did not change anything about the units or anything like that, then it just changes that one line. So that is the only field that you can change that will not cause the negative credit lines to be created or new bills at all of a new amount. Okay? So whenever you're bill editing and you want to change a bill, you need to put the new total in, not the difference between what was paid and what's new. So because that won't do you any darn good. If you're not sure of what you've done so far, you can then click this report button and up will pop a report that shows you what got changed. Okay, and this report looks a little different depending on what type of bill you are looking at. For instance, this first line, it's saying that the bill line I edited is unverified. Okay, it shows you the care plan note in here, and it shows you the client ID, the care plan, the invoice, etc. This is just showing you what it now looks like. It does not know what it looked like before because it just changed it. Okay, so this shows you just the fact that you changed it. The old 4 that I had here is not going to print. Okay, now this one here was a verified bill. So the boxed information will show you what the original was, and the bottom one is the new bills that got created out of the, underneath the box, so the new bills that got created from that edit, and that's why this one looks like this, because the originals really doesn't exist because it is this. But this one here, the original bill is that 4 units. It's a verified bill, that's why there's a V there. It would have an M or an A if it was sent to Medicaid or adjusted, which adjusted shouldn't happen. It'll show you, who entered it originally, what the enter date was, February 3rd, and then now here's the edit that we made. We took it out, we deleted it, okay? And so for that bill line, it totals 0, but the net difference is -4. So the -4 is how much we need to take back from the vendor for that. And then it's got who did that edit and on what date. And then here's the other bill I did where I changed from 4 to 8 units. It gives you, here's the original line, here's the credit line, here's the positive one, and then give me, again, the total of all of it, which the end result is to total 8 units, but it's only a net difference of 4. Okay? So this report shows you all the details of what got edited, so you can use that to print to know what happened in that session. Now, one thing I want to do point out is that that unverified bill edit I made, that will not show up. I don't think that is going to show up on another report after this because of how the because I didn't change anything. So if you need to know that you edited verified, unverified bill lines, I'd print it right from here. Okay. The other ones will always show up because there's a paper trail of it. But the other ones you won't really necessarily know you edited an unverified bill. Okay. What else I'll show you here? Okay. So okay, the other thing I want to show you, I'm going to do some other things first. Okay, so right now what I want to do is I want to go verify some bills. So I'm going to skip the mass editing and some other fancy features of bill edit for now so that I can show you, continue here. So what I want to do is I want to verify some bills that I had posted. And
hey, Melissa.
Yeah,
this is Jose from Region 2.
Yeah.
You know, we always get confused on when we pull down the line. When is that option?
I'm actually going to go through that in a few more minutes. I'm going to demonstrate a good example of that. But yeah, that's one of the fancier features that I want to get through the simple stuff and then go back to that with some good examples of it. Okay.
Okay.
A good question. But yes, by the time you're done with this call, you'll know exactly what you're doing with that lovely feature down here. It's so much fun. All right. When again, like Bill Post, when you exit the bill editing module, it's going to ask you if you want to print the report in case you forgot. I don't care. But to verify the bills, you have to go to Billing Variance Verification. And this is essential for anything that needs to go as a claim. Anything else, that's up to you. We don't care. But you may care because the theory is behind the verification is it makes the bill permanent. So once we verify it, it's a permanent bill to the system. And at that point, any changes to it now create credit lines, and we can track exactly when and where it got changed. And you may not know exactly the why, but you would have at least that trail that somebody did this and who did it and when and why. So we recommend that as soon as you pay the bills to the vendor, okay, so you've posted that month for the vendor, your accounting department's cutting the check, I would verify the bill. Because at that point, the vendor's getting paid that amount, and then then you have a permanent record of what the original payment was for. If you don't verify it at that point, then any changes that come in are going to just change the bill, and you will no longer have a record of what you originally paid them inside MICIS. Of course, your accounting department may have something if you're providing to your accounting department the full details of every single bill, which you may be. Some do. Others have said, no, that's just way too much paper. We don't want that much paper. We're not doing that. We're just giving summaries to the accounting department, and that's what they're using to pay the bills. Okay, so it's up to you, but or up to your agency, not really you, but your agency's policy is when you should verify the bill. But I recommend that you do it as soon as you cut the check to the vendor, so that it's done. Others may wait until they go do the claims processing because that's when it has to be done. And maybe they don't want to bother with bill editing because it's so painful sometimes, depending on how bad the vendors are billing and rebill and etc., that they decide that, you know what, we're not doing it until the claims are done. Technically, that's fine. I disagree with it. I think maybe just more training needs to be done with the bill editing process if it's because it's such a hairy process for them, because you really want that paper trail once you've paid the vendor. Okay. Because we can't pull it here even. If you edit an unverified bill, there is no record of what it originally was besides maybe a piece of paper that you printed at one time, okay? Which probably doesn't exist because if you're like me, you throw that out as soon as you're done with it. Or put it in the shred it bin because it's got client identifying information on it. So in here, this is split into actually 3 parts. There's a top part of selection criteria. Okay, this is the variance process, the verification process. So this is where we put in information about what we want to verify. The middle section is which reports you want to run, and the bottom section has to do with the verifying the bills or what you want to show on the report. Okay, so at the top here, the selection criteria, you can fill in as much or as little as you want. You do have to provide a date range, and this obviously has a drop down, so you're going to make sure something's there. And it defaults to only showing your bills that you did. Okay, it means that Demo A, which is my login to this demo database, if somebody else changed something or posted bills or whatnot, if I don't say all users, it's only going to look at the ones I did. Okay, so if you're needing to verify bills that somebody else may have done, then you're going to want to change this to all users. And technically, it's probably always going to be that way. Always you miss stuff. So I would always change this to all users, and then it just doesn't regard that or even pay attention to the fact that which user did it. The date range here is available. I am going, and then you can also specify a client if you want to do that. If you want to do it client by client, most likely you're going to want to just do it for the whole month at a time. If you're cleaning things up because they're unverified and you're finding that when you get to the claims process, this data service date range is only, you can only do up to 100 days, I believe. I think. I'm not positive. It's 90 to 100. Anyway, so you can only do 3 months at a time. And so if you have more than that, you can't put a full year in here at a time. It's just to speed up processing so we don't bog the system down with people running years and years of this at a time. So we picked 100 days. So that's available. Or I mean, that's a limitation for you in here. You could do it by a care plan line number if you know what that is. You could do it by a vendor. You have a drop down to find a vendor. So if you want to just do that particular vendor for that particular month, you can do that. If you want to do it by service fund source, you can. I don't know why people would. Invoice number, that's another practical way that if you want to do it just for one particular invoice number. The verify status defaults to unverified because technically the purpose of being in here is to verify bills. So usually that's all you're looking at. However, if you want to look at it because you're just wanting the variance report, for instance, is another reason you could be in here, then maybe you want to change it to all so that you're looking at the full picture versus what somebody may or may not have verified yet. So that could be a reason to change it, but unverified only just makes it faster, so that's why we default to it. There's also an enter edit date range, so if you know that you just want to verify what you did today, you can do that by putting in that date range. I'm not even sure what I want to verify right now. Actually, I just want to do all January, it looks like. Okay. So since it's all of January that I want to verify, then I'm not going to specify that, but you could. We do have a bug in here right now, and you cannot specify a dummy ID in this client ID field. It's going to give you an error. Even if I use this, whoops, I typed too much there. See, I knew. Yeah, I know. I know. Okay. It says it's an invalid client ID. Okay. It's a bug. We're probably not going to fix that bug, so you're going to need to find another way around it. Put the care plan line number in there, then you'd get that specific person. Or if you know it's just the only person you've done today, you could put in the date range or do it by service, etc. But unfortunately, if it's a dummy ID, you won't be able to verify it by putting in the ID. It'll verify if you don't specify that client ID. Okay, so you can get around it. It just doesn't like it. But any other client, if they got the real social number in here, that'll work. Now my demo database, they're all dummy IDs, so I can't specify that at all to show it to you. But so that's the selection criteria. So once you're done with that, then you choose what reports you want to run. I prefer to always at least recommend you run the exceptions report. Okay. The variance report's up to you. The variance report can be helpful, and I'm going to actually run both to show you what they are. A lot of people still use the variance report because what they're doing is that the variance report shows you the difference between what was posted versus what was authorized. So if there's an issue, it's a way to double check. I personally have always found it not very useful because as a biller, when I was in your shoes once upon and using the same MICIS system, by the way, back, over 15 years ago, I found it that when you were posting, you knew right when you posted what was authorized. Okay, I didn't post bills until I knew it was okay, because you don't want to put them in the system if you're not going to approve it. So I didn't put them in there to begin with. Other people disagree with that. They want to have everything posted, and then they'll go back and edit it out if the sports coordinator disagrees with what happened. Okay. I personally go to the sports coordinator, and I don't post those bills before I get past that point. So to me, the variance report was never an issue. I'd already have everything approved by the time I got here. Okay. Other people, though, they use it religiously to do that. So it's up to you and your agency's policy of how you deal with that. But that's just an example. So I technically never would run the variance report. But the exceptions report, you will always want to run, because the exceptions report is going to show you what bills there's a problem with that it can't verify. Okay? And the only reason that something can't verify is if there is no template or scheduled exception in the date range that you run the variance for, and the verification process for. Okay? So everything will verify except what's on that report. So the exceptions report I recommend to run every time you do a verification. The bottom part is about the verification, and this has a lovely warning that says you don't want to verify unless you review the variance report. That really is a warning just to let you know that if you don't know what you're doing and you have not, you're coming in here and you want to run this, at least see the variance report, because the variance report is going to show you what will get verified if you choose to do so. Okay? So especially people that are new to the system, I would not check that box and run it right now with just getting the report. Okay? The reports will pop up. But I wouldn't check to verify yet, because I'm really not sure what I'm doing. So I want to make sure that what's on that report is what I want to verify. If there's more or less, then I need to make adjustments to the top so that I get exactly what I want to verify. Okay? Especially if you're in a shop where there's multiple billers and you don't know who's editing and who's verifying, and maybe you're responsible for yourself only, then you want to make sure that you're not doing anything that's stepping on their toes. Okay? So I would run that report first, look at it, and then come back and verify. However, if you've been doing this for years, you know what you're doing, you know I'm just verifying this month, this vendor, whatever, everything's going, you do not have to wait until you review a variance report. You can check the box right now. Okay? So that warning, it's to scare new people off, but once you're, know better, then you know that I forget the warning. I don't care. I know what I'm doing. I want everything verified anyway. Okay? So I'm going to do that because I don't want to do this twice in 2 steps. This next one over here, completely ignore. This is again related to that adjustment reason stuff that doesn't happen anymore. And so adjusted, non-adjusted only are the options. I don't even worry about it. The other thing you can do is for the variance report, if you want to, you can say, I don't want to show anything that has no variance, meaning that if the authorized and the posted are exactly the same, don't put them on the report, because I don't want to see those, because they're not problems. I only want to see the problem children. So that's what that option there is for. So if it is something that you're going to print out to give to the sports coordinators, for instance, to authorize, then, or if you're double checking people in your office, that you're supervising your bill posting people, then you might want to say that so that you're not looking at 50,000 pages of data, okay? Because a variance report can get really big real quick. So, but I want to show you everything for now. If you want to reset everything back, you can click the clear all and it'll change everything back. Otherwise, you just click OK, and what's going to happen is it's going to generate those 2 reports here, and it's also going to verify the bill lines. Okay? So, actually in the reverse order. So it's going to verify the bills first, and then it's going to show you the report. So what happens is, if I look at this variance report, I'm going to make it bigger. These are all the bills it verified. And you can see that because there's a column on here, VER, that stands for verified. And on this report, it shows me, first of all, who's the supports coordinator, who's the client, the vendor, service, etc. This here is all the codes of the care plan line, so you can see all that detail of when it was open, is the participant at risk, etc. Then on the left side here is information from the care plan, and on the right side is the information from the bills, and then they share this date field. Okay? So I can see on January 2nd, we authorized in the care plan 8 units at $335 a unit for a total cost of $26.80. There is a non-service and or scheduled exception. I can tell it's not a non-service because if you look down here, the non-services show the code. And the codes are not explained on this report, I don't believe. Let me scroll down. Oh yeah, they are. They are down here. Who knew? So the star means a scheduled exception, and then the codes for all the different non-services are here. Okay. particularly it's probably more for your sports coordinator so they can understand what the heck the system's doing. So PC is participant canceled. So I've got both a scheduled exception and a non-service on that day. We did indicate in the care plan template that the days may vary, so that is asterisked, okay? And then over here you can see the units. Now you'll see on the third here, I have nothing on the care plan side authorized, but I have 8 units here. Looks like it was a day change. You know, they didn't go on the second, instead they went on the third. Most people find that acceptable. Then on the 5th, nothing got posted, and it's because there was a non-service. On the 7th, it got posted at a bigger amount, 12 versus 4, etc. And you go down this whole line seeing exactly what happened. And then you can see the total authorized was 36, but we paid out 48. Well, 36 minus 48 is negative 12, which means if it's negative, the plan minus the bill, that means that you overpaid the vendor from what was authorized. So this would be a problem. Now remember, I was just messing around, so I didn't really care, but that's how you get a variance. Now the next one actually is going on to the second page, so I'm just going to go over to the second page. So this is showing me S5150 is another service that got posted. And this is the one I did that 32 units, and I took out those 2 days. So that's why these 2 days are blank, but they're over here. So this variance is a positive variance, meaning that we planned for more, but they didn't bill for more. That's an okay variance, unless, of course, the person's at risk, which they're not. So this should be okay, okay? But at the same time, we probably should have had non-services for these, possibly. It depends on the situation of what you constitute a non-service to account for that. But that's what that's all about. The other thing that's, there should have been an S5161. I didn't see that one in here. Okay, I thought I posted S5161. Did I not? Maybe I did it for December. No, I did it for January. Okay. Oh, yeah, let me, remember why I'm training. Okay, so what I'm noticing right now is I am missing S5161. The reason I am missing S5161 is because it's on the exceptions report, because I was going to demonstrate this. Duh. So, on here, S5161, the first system, I have nothing in the care plan. Remember when we went in there and we just posted the service date and there was nothing there to post against? So this is what it would look like on the variance report, well, the exceptions report, because there's nothing in the care plan. So in order to get this bill verified, I have to adjust the care plan. And what I would do, I'd get out of here, I'd go into the care plan, and then I would find Shira. And we're probably going to find that exact situation, because I set it up that way, of it's a template set up starting the 15th of the month, but the template's set up for the 1st of the month. Because January, the start date wasn't until the 15th, there is no 1st of the month. Okay? So you have 2 options here. Personally, what I would like to do is I would, well, first, yeah, there's a couple different things. At this point, because the vendor's got everything already in the vendor view world, because you have to consider that as well, if I go in here and edit this to the, I could do 2 things. I could edit this to be the 2nd of the month and put it in a one-time for the 15th of the month of January. So it'd start 2-1 on this one. But then I think that one we can actually prevent the vendors from getting a notice. So I would click Save, and now the vendors are getting a notice. So that didn't work, because otherwise it would have prompted me. So right now you would want to go clean up in vendor view a notice that got created for that, because they're going to get notified that it's a later start date. Which, well, of course they would, because this is, not that long ago. Okay. And then what you could do is put in a one-time to the 15th. That's one way to do it. So you could do that, and then you would have set up, this is the ongoing. I'm going to start that February 1st, but I'm going to put a one-time only for the month of January, because I need to. You do not, for these monthly services, we do not recommend you use like the last day of the month or some middle day in the month, because they're a monthly service, and even if they're there on the 1st of the month and then they pull the box out, you still have to pay for the 1st of the month. And if the person, if you have it, if you end it on the 1st of the month, but the template's not set up for the last day or the 15th or whatever of the month, then you still have to do some shenanigans. So we recommend for these monthly templates, especially for FERS units, that you do something like this in the templates, where you create like a one-time for the one in the 1 month that's a partial month, and then create another one starting your regular monthly schedule starting on the first of the month, and put that bill on the first day of the month. Okay? Just saves you a headache for when it comes time to close these people out, because you're going to get exceptions reports at that level. Okay? The other thing you could do is, if you didn't want to do a one-time only template, you could leave it at a monthly that we've had before from the 15th, and you could just go put in a scheduled exception for the 15th of the month, which would be through here. So you could go into January and you would click on this day and create a scheduled exception for that day. That's another choice that you could do. Either way, doesn't matter. You do whatever is best and more comfortable for you, what makes more sense to you. They're both perfectly acceptable ways of doing it. But the key factor is now I can go back into variance and run this, and I'm going to run exceptions and verify bill lines, and now hopefully the exceptions report is going to be blank. I do want to point out that this bill line verification completed message will come up regardless if it did any verification at all. It just means that it went through the process and did what it could, and it's done. It doesn't mean that it did a darn thing, like literally like verified anything. It just means that it ran through the process. I can tell it did a darn thing because I have nothing now on this exceptions report. And had I run a variance report, which I can still do, which, again, that means nothing. Oh, unverified only? I get nothing because they're all verified. Duh. So I could do this. I'm probably going to get a lot more along for the ride for this one from what I did before. Yeah, I'm getting some other people that I did for setup of this training. So here's Shira here for the age 2015. There's the S5150. And here's the PERS now. So the PERS did get verified. I verified that by running this report if you want to. I personally trusted it because I ran it the same way I did before, just running the exceptions. The exceptions was clean, therefore it got verified. So that's what this report, this area is all about. It's about getting that bill to be permanent. And now that that bill's permanent, I have a paper trail of anything after that point. Okay? All right. Next example I want to show you. I'm going to go back into bill edit here. Okay. I want to show you a person before we go do it, so you understand what I'm doing here. I don't think he has any bills besides December. Okay. So Mr. Blue Man here, okay, he's got a bill in here for ABC Home Vendor for respite. And I think this is one I want. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, this is fine. And he's unverified. These are for December. I didn't verify December. I only did January when I did the verification. So what I can do is I look at this and I go, you know, I realized I messed up, okay, because this S5150 and 2008 are not a waiver code combo, okay. We do not limit that in the data entry piece because there's just, we'd be upkeeping, especially in the beginning, we'd be upkeeping forever, and we don't want to do that many MICIS releases. So we don't stop that at the data entry piece. So you could put in whatever code you want with a waiver fund source, and it's going to save it. It's not going to be valid, though, when you get to the claims processing or encounters processing area, because specialized is not a waiver service, the standard remark. So what needs to happen is I need to actually take out the standard remark. Well, because these are all unverified for that care plan, okay, I've not posted anything else for him besides this. I just pulled up Blue Man, and okay, I can change this in the care plan. Those bills are going to just change. So what I can do is I just go find Blue Man for that S5150 for ABC Home Vendor, which is this one, okay, started December 13th. This is the one I want. That's that specialized. I click Edit. I take this out. Click Save. Okay, it did it. So now I can go into Bill Edit, and I'm just going to go look. You wouldn't have to do this, but just to show you how this works, is that when I pull up Blue Man now, all of those bills now don't have a standard remark. Okay, so if you mess something up and you catch it before anything's verified, you can change the care plan, and it changes all the bills that are unverified right along with it. However, if I had verified any bills for this care plan before, okay, like you didn't find this till months later, and you have some unverified bills in 1 month, but all the previous months have been verified and they're all part of that same care plan, then you can't change the care plan because there's verified bills posted against it. It won't let you. Okay? So it only works if all of the bills for that care plan line are all unverified or they don't exist. and then you can change it at the care plan line level, and if you had bills, it would change it. So that's a nice little feature if you kept it unverified, and if you found it right away. You would not obviously find this at the encounter processing or claims processing level because they would have had to have been verified to show up on those reports. So at the point that you see them on a claims error report means that you can't do it through the care plan anymore. Okay? You'd have to do it a different way, which I'm going to show you that. Let's see. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at Strawberry Shortcake here to remind myself what she looks like. And this is for December, I want. Okay, so I can put in as little or as much as I want in there. So I've got this T2038 care plan for a shower chair or bath bench. Okay, well, when you look at the contract for My Choice, okay, for My Choice people, this is only a valid code combination for the CMP funds. Okay, it is not valid for waiver. So if they became a waiver client, you're supposed to use another waiver code. And to fix this, I can't change the care plan because it's verified. All right. So what I'd need to do is I would need to go out of here. I need to go into the care plans for Strawberry Shortcake. Okay. And I have to go to historical because this was a one-time only in December. So I click on the historical to see those. So here's my care plan. So what you would need to do is you would need to create a whole other care plan for this. There's a couple ways you could do this. You could use the copy care plan feature, and that would avoid sending any notices to the vendor about it. In this case, it may not be recommended because it's not really going to do too much for you. Because, well, actually it will because they didn't. Okay, this example it will. I forgot I made this way. This one, it started on the 1st, but we know it wasn't going to get delivered to the 10th. So in this regard, we could use copy care plan. The reason I'm hesitating about this is because when you do a copy care plan, this new care plan start date cannot equal the start date down here. It has to be at least the day after. It has to do with processing stuff, and we couldn't make it work the other way. Believe me, I argued and tried, and they said it's just not going to work. It messed other stuff up. So we have to go the day after if we're going to use this method. Which, if the issue with that is if the template was set up for the 1st of the month, then the template wouldn't be copied over, and you'd end up having to put that in anyway, which means this whole copy care plan to save yourself from sending a vendor a notice isn't going to work because it's still going to do it because you have to put the template in. But since this template was set up for the 10th of the month, and I made this for the 2nd, that one will copy over to here. Because what I have to do is I have to change this to a valid code. And the valid code for a shower chair bench for waiver is E0245. Okay? Which, yeah, okay. So, I'm seeing when I tabbed out of here that E0245 is not coming up with a description. And that to me means that this is not enabled for this vendor. Okay. So, what I have to do first, because of that, I have to get out of here, I have to go into vendor maintenance and go add it to new vendor. Because I can't add any services in there that don't already exist. Actually, yeah, this will work. E0245. Now, of course, you know, DME items, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If there's other types of things, then I would worry about it because you need a contract. But this kind of thing, I wouldn't even care. So I added E0245 to this so that I can now put a care plan in for it so that I can fix this darn bill. Okay? So now I go back. Oh, now she runs Shortcake. All right, so I'm in Strawberry Shortcake now, and I got to go back again to historical. Go here. Now, if I go E0245, oops, I hope I type it right. Now it comes up. So now I know, but I also need to take out that standard mark. So then I would, actually, this won't work. I thought it was still copying. See? Keep up with me. Back to the copy care plan, because I didn't save the other one, because I couldn't get past that point. I got to do this again. And then I change it now. This one, 0245. Okay. All right, so what it's going to tell me is the verified bills can't be moved, blah, blah, blah. So if you need to do it, you have to do it in bill edit. I know that, and so that's good to go. Now, Right now, we have 2 care plans that have the same templates underneath it, okay? Because I'm changing this, and you only really want to have a plan for one of them, you probably need to go into the old one and take out this template, okay? Otherwise, it looks like you're purchasing 2 of the same thing. And people have gotten CCOR audited on that, and because they were not going into cleaning up the template. So you want to do that if you're going to get rid of that whole other coding system. Because I cannot delete this care plan because there's bills under it. If I try it, it says, nope, there's bills, they're verified, you can't do that. If you really want to clean it up, and then you could send CIM a DBA request, and we can delete those bills for you if they've not been sent to the state, which in this case it wouldn't have been because it's an invalid code that could not go to the waiver or to the state anyway because we won't let it through the claims processing. So we can do that. So you would need to send us a DBA request, upload it to the Secure File Exchange with the full Social Security number, probably the care plan line number would be good enough so that we know exactly which one you're talking about, and we could get rid of those bills, and then you can delete the care plan, okay, or the template and the care plan for that matter. And then it would go away from everything, and you would be all squared away, and you wouldn't have to worry about all this ugly stuff. That's doable. We used to have a feature that you could use the MICIS assistant to do that. We'll probably rewrite that in some form in the future, but for right now, we have to do it here, okay? But at the moment, that's probably going to be a feature in the system at some point when we get to the billing module stuff. So, but right now, send us a DB request, and then you'll be able to get rid of this nasty care plan, but you do want to delete the template if you're going to keep it around so that it doesn't look like you're duplicating services, okay? So now that we've got the care plan stuff done, now we can actually edit the darn bill. So if I go here, and I pull up Miss Shortcake, and I'm just going to do this. Okay. Well, I guess I should have done that. I got to find it. All right. So here's my T2038 bill. So then I would click Edit. I would change this to E0245. I take out the standard remark. I click Save, and it's done. And what happens is these edits go to the bottom of the list. And so you can see that it put a credit line on this one, and then it put a new line for my E0245, okay? So what I don't want you doing is going, oh, I want to delete these. Well, if you start with the credit line, you'll be able to delete the credit line. That would be bad because you can't delete the one. And that means that now you're going to have 2 bills for the same service, and one's not credited out anymore, okay? And the reason I say that is because this guy here, after a bill line's been edited once, you can't edit it again. If you click Edit, it's going to tell you that, okay? So let's say I did this very thing, okay? Let's say that I delete this. You have 2 choices. If you want to fix this, there's 2 choices right now. Your number 1 choice is delete this one too, because it's still unverified, and then you'll be able to edit this bill again. That's your number 1 choice. That's the best thing for you to do right now. Okay? Because this is not verified, you can delete that, and once that's deleted, then this bill has never been edited. Okay? The way the bills look like they're edited is that the new bills go on with an original bill ID that refers to this bill ID here in the background. So if the bills that were a result of the edit don't exist, then that old bill's still not edited according to the system. Even though you know you did it, but it goes away. Okay? So you would be able to edit this again. And then you could start over if you goof that up. But let's say that we screwed up and it was verified, then you would want to do something different. You would have to do, okay, let's go do this. Okay, let's go verify this and find out that you figured this out later in life. Okay, so let's go verify that, because this is exactly the reason why we would want to use that lovely bottom thing. You're going bottom thing. I don't know what you're talking about. That's fine. We'll get there. Okay. The other thing I should have mentioned, it just dawned on me as I did this, when you do the care plan changes of the templates, or the change in the service codes like that for this change, when I put in the E0245 and then I took out the template for the T2038 one, the bad coding one, you don't want to take that template out until you've verified the credit line to the T2038 one. Okay? Otherwise, you're not going to be able to verify that, and that would not be very helpful to you. All right, so I want to pull up, actually, I'm not going to specify that. I'm going to do this again because I want to pull up both services. Okay, so here's both services for December. All right, so I've got the original bill that we had. I accidentally deleted the credit, but I also have this. So this is what's left, and this is wrong. And I need to end up creating a credit line for this guy. Okay? All right, so what I would do is I would first create a new bill out of this guy. This guy's never been edited, okay? So I can touch him. So I click Edit, and I do want to keep this bill as is, okay? This bill is good. I like it. It's what I want. In order to keep that bill preserved, I have to bring it down, okay? When you click that bottom arrow, it brings down the record, and when you start using this, this is the only information that's going to get saved, not here. Okay? Once you use this drop-down arrow, only things in here are going to get saved and kept. This stuff up here will not. So it's not like if I edit this to 2 right now and click Save, it's not going to do anything with that. Okay? It's just going to edit this bill into what it is already. So these are the results that you want out of the editing. So once you start using this, you have to use all of it and keep bringing stuff down to do what you want to do. Do not think that you can change anything up here, and save it without bringing it down. So the next thing I need to do is I've got this guy because I want to keep him as is. He's good. The next thing I want to do is I want to put in another T2038. Your Honor, what are you doing? All right, yep, I'm nuts. I'm certifiable. Okay. And what I did is I just changed the bill to what that is, and I want to bring that down. Okay. At this point, what's going to happen is I'm going to create 2 bills out of this. I'm going to create a new one for this. It's going to create actually, because this is verified, what's going to happen is it's going to take out this, but then it's going to put it back because I've got this here. So it's going to basically, it's going to still touch this because a verified bill can't change. But I'm telling it to change by bringing it down. It's going to put a negative and put a new one in of the exact same thing. But it's also going to create me another bill for this T2038-9511. Okay? So I'm going to click Save. Okay? So now I've got this guy, and I've got, so it put the negative one here, the positive one here, and it put the T2038 one here. Okay? So that's how this bottom thing works, is that you can change stuff to add new bills back in. Okay? Now, this is the tricky part, is what I want to do right now, and this, yeah, see, you can't edit a credit line, so you cannot get that credit line back in there. So I'm right now I'm failing to think of how I can get this back to the T2038 negative. Oh, I know what I can do. I think in this case you'd end up having to call me, honestly, because everything's verified associated to it. So what we want to do is we'd want to eventually create a credit line for this, which I'd have to verify this one to get a credit line, and then I would have to go in and delete this guy here. So if you do something like this, you're going to have to call me. But what I was trying to just convey, though, was the ability of how you use that thing on the bottom. You can change bills into a whole other thing. Another example would be, let's see here. If let me go into Shira. Let's see. Those are all verified. Good. Let's say, for instance, I get a new bill on the 1st, and you could also use this bottom for tracking bill edits separately. So you could do, whoops, that's edited already. When did I do that? Oh, when I was playing the first time. You're derp. It's big January. Okay. No, not that one. I don't want to play it first. This one. So you could create a whole other bill out of this one. If you click Edit, you could drag that down to keep that at the 8, and then you could put in another one for 12. And so you would preserve the fact that you had an 8 build and you had a 12 build separately, which totaled to 20. Okay, you could do stuff like that and save that. The other thing, if you bring the arrow up and click, that gets rid of them. Okay, let me cancel this because I was thinking of something else. The other thing you can do is if you, let's say, well, I don't have any good examples in here, but let's say, okay, we got this first, right? I can't edit it because it's already been edited. And you notice that these edits are way at the bottom. They're below January 30th because the sort has been set back to client ID, which the sort after client ID is the bill ID behind the scenes. So these are the newest bills, so they're at the bottom, okay, because they came in after the January ones were posted. So these guys here are already verified. If, for instance, this is a great example. Okay, so let me sort by date so you can see this. So at the top, you see that the first has been taken out, okay? You're going, well, I found out they really did mean to go on the first. This is the prime opportunity for using the down arrows, okay? The most common thing you'd want to do. This is how you can restore a bill that's been credited out. Because I can't delete a credit line. Well, yes, I can. Wait. Go back. Sorry. Deleting a credit line, okay, so you can delete a credit line, which will put a new bill in. So that's one way to do it. So deleting a credit line does work because what it does is it puts a positive one back in. So you could do that. That is one thing you can do. You could also, because that credit line's not been edited before, but if you get yourself in a position that everything's been edited, maybe through mass edit, everything got edited, etc., then the other thing you can do is take that first line. Let me delete this one again. I'm going to get rid of that. So you can delete credit lines and it'll put it back in. That will work. Then you can also take this guy, click, no, not edit. This, sure, you got to find an unedited bill. So I'm going to choose this new guy over here on the 3rd because I don't need to change him. When you click an edited bill, you want to bring that one down because you want to keep that one the same. Then you would just change this to the 1st and then make sure you got the right units and such. So it's another, we want to put back in the 4 units. Bring that down and then click Save. And then now you'll see that we've got the 4 here as well as the 3 got taken back out and put back in. That just happens along for the ride. If you didn't want that to happen, you could clean this up and take these back out, okay, because they're unverified. So you could clean out those extra bills that just got created for that one so that you're left with only what you really cared about. So I've got the first there for 4 units. So you can delete the credit line and it restores it. You can also use that bottom half to create new bills. You'll find that you may need to use that for more complicated things that you have to do. And you could change it into a whole other service. Well, you can use this bottom thing for anything. You can change the client, everything. Anything that you can change here, you can change that bill to become. Okay? So there's multiple uses for that bottom thing. You just have to remember that if you want to keep the one you're already on, you have to bring it down. Otherwise, it's just going to delete it when it goes to do the credit line and put it back in. So you want to make sure you bring down the one you want, keep that, and then bring down your changes, and then save. If you don't bring down the changes, then all you're going to do again is delete and restore the original bill that you chose to edit and not actually do the change. Okay? So it's a little complicated, but make sure you're clicking on date to sort by date so you can see how your work is going, and then you can go from there. And of course, if you screw up, if you're editing a verified bill, it's creating unverified bills. So you can just go through here and delete those unverified bills and they go away. Okay? So you can start over and go, okay, let me try that again. Okay? You can do that. Okay? And then when you're done, if you want to run the report to make it look how you want, you can do that as well. Okay? Any questions on that? Clear as mud, I'm sure. Okay. What time are we at? Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew I was going to be close. Mass edit. Mass edit is very particular, and because I got to figure out who I want to do. Mass edit, you are not allowed to use any lookups because when you are in mass edit, we want you to know what you're doing. However, there is a way around that because, especially me, when I don't know what user ID or the social numbers are because they're just these dummy things, I'm going to just bring that up. Okay, because I was going to want to mess with Pillsbury Doughboy here. Speaking of which, I didn't mess with them already. Good, good, good. All right, so mass edit, if I click on mass edit, if you didn't know the social number, if you had searched for it before, you could move this window around by clicking that title bar, and you can move these around anywhere you want. So I can now see that so that I can type it, because okay. So I can type that in. If you knew the care plan line number, which I had clicked on it, I could also put that in. All this information at the top is selection criteria of what you want to mass edit. Okay. So what I was going to do is for Pillsbury Doughboy for January 2014, I found out that I posted a different invoice number than I really wanted. No, not January 24th, 15. I wrote down 14 on my thing. That's why I'm getting myself confused. Okay. So for Pillsbury Doughboy, I want to bring up everything for this data service range. Now again, this one has that same user thing on it with mine defaulted. If you're not the person that posted these bills, you're going to need to select all users. The other criteria in here you can use if you'd like to. The edit date range, verified records, you could again use those. Adjustment records I'd ignore. Set to MSA I'd ignore even. Other things in here, like procedure, standard remark, and invoice number, have these boxes. This is to say I want you to only find ones that are blank. Okay? So you could check those boxes to find things that do not have a procedure code or a standard remark, etc., to help narrow that down. If you had forgot to post an invoice number, you could use that to find the ones that are blank. For right now, I'm just going to click this Find button, and those bills are going to show up over here. So I can see over here what got posted for Pillsbury for January of 2015. All right, so I'm seeing this invoice number is here. And let's say the invoice number for the S5150 here, I really wanted it to be different. So what you could do is, let me put in S5150 here, do another search because you need to narrow that down to where you're at. Okay, so this is only showing the stuff that you just recently changed. So now I've got that narrowed down to only the things I want to edit. Then on the bottom, you would put in what you want to change. You do not fill everything out. I do not have to put the client ID in here again. I do not need to put the vendor or anything. You're only putting in there the things you want to change. So in this case, it's the invoice number. And so I'm just going to put the invoice number as change. If you wanted to blank out the invoice number, you could check this box. Or if you wanted to blank out the procedure standard mark, you could check those boxes, because then it will take those away as a mass edit. Now, just like bill edit, any mass edit changes you make have to match careful in line as well. So like this mass edit could have been used for when I took the standard remark and changed the service. I could have checked that box to take out the standard remark. If I had, I only had one, so it didn't make sense to use mass edit for that purpose. But mass edit is made for doing things in a lot at a time instead of going edit, change, all that. Okay? So then when you're done and you've got this set how you want, you found the bills, you've limited that down over here, then you just click Save. It's going to say, are you sure you want to make these changes? You click Yes, and they've been changed. And if you then do another Find, because I didn't change any of this information, I can find again, and then you'll see that now the invoice number says change. You'll also see...
Melissa.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Yeah.
You could change the user or the client?
Yes. Yep.
So if we put posted to the wrong person, we could change it there?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep, you can.
Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, the only thing you really can't change in mass is the date of service issue. So if you mess that up, they'd have to be done one by one. Like if you posted to the wrong month or something, you can't adjust that. They'd have to be deleted and re-entered. Because this was an invoice number change, and it's a verified bill, and that's the only thing that changed, then it did not do the credit line stuff. Just like bill edit doesn't, mass edit doesn't either. It's only when you change something other than the invoice number that it's going to create the credit line situation. So if I had tried to say, okay, I had these all at 4 units. They were supposed to be 8. Okay? Maybe you posted the defaults or something, and so you messed it up. So you could then change all the units to these bills to 8. Or maybe the cost per unit changed. And we found out, oh, there was an increase, and that didn't get entered into the defaults, and so this is all messed up. Then you could put the increase in here, mass edit the cost per unit on all of them. Okay? I'm going to take this out because then I don't need to change the invoice number anymore. And then you just click Save again. Okay? So when you find them now we have the whole credit line new bill. So you can see that We have a credit line for the 4. It's now 8 at 345. Okay? So we just change those all in one fell swoop. Okay? Any questions on that? I'm going to do another example in a second, but okay. All right. Oh, good. I almost messed myself up. I want to look at Pillsbury Doughboy for H2015. Okay. So Pillsbury Doughboy has these H2015 services. And let's say I find out that for the beginning of January that they were, this isn't a good example, don't ignore the service code, but let's say that they went in the nursing home, okay? Pretend these are meals or something. So the meals got delivered because somebody there picked them up even though they weren't supposed to, and we're pretending this H2015 is a meal service. And so I need to 105 these bills, okay? What you would do is you can't mass edit these to 105. It's not going to work. Why? Because I've not created the care plan line for 105. Okay? Well, that's not where I would change that anyway. I'd do it down here. Okay, I'd put 105 down there. So I already know that. So I know that I can't bill edit this yet. So I need to go out of here. And no, I don't want to print that. And I'm going to go, oops, care plans. I'd go into care plans for Mr. Doughboy here. And it's H2015, and let's say it's a certain part of the month. So what I want to do is I want to use copy care plan on this. So I'm going to use copy care plan. I'm going to say, okay, they went in and, you know, New Year's Day or something. Okay. So that's going to be my start date. Change this to 105. My stop date is the day that they, before they return, because the return home day of the nursing home is when you get paid. So I'm going to say they came home on the 11th. So this then would be the 10th. And then I'd click Save. It's going to give you some verified stuff. This is not my purpose of my training, so I'm just skipping past that. But now I've got a 105 care plan, which doesn't show up because it's already closed. Okay? So that's set up. There's a template set up because I copied care plan, so that's all set. So then now all I have to do is go in here, go into the mass edit once I type this stuff in again because I can't remember his ID. I don't have it written down, so I want to see it. So then I click mass edit, move this around so I don't have to do that. Okay. And then I find my H2015 is the one I want to do. And I want to do the 1st through the 10th. Oops. Okay. And then I click find, show me everything I got. There's 3 different bills there. Then I put down here 105, click save. You sure? Yes, they've been saved. I do another search. Now I come to this tab and you see all the different changes. Now there are times when the search is not going to work because you may have changed it to something that up here. Like if I change the service code, then when I do the search again after I'm done, then that service code is not going to be there because I changed it. You'll just see the negatives for that, for instance. You could also delete from here. So if you knew that, you know, wait a minute, in this case scenario, for instance, I didn't want to change it to 105. They shouldn't have done that. They should not get paid because this is a hands-on service, not a meal. So you would want to delete all those. Okay, you could do them all at once. It'll create credit lines for all those verified bills. If they're unverified, they'll just go away. Then the only thing you cannot do in here, just like in bill edit, you can't edit an edited bill. So once something in this information has been edited before, you can't adjust it again because it's not just grabbing the new bills that were created as a result of the edit, it's trying to grab the old ones too. Okay, so right now I could not do this change again or change even this back to 100. Well, not even 100, that wouldn't be a good example, but like if I want to say that all these units should have been, what are they now, 4? Maybe they should have been 8. Okay, I can't do this because they've been edited. All right, you can't edit a bill more than once. So you have to adjust your search criteria. So in this case, right now, if I found out that, oops, I just made this change, you could look and see, okay, how can I narrow this down? Could you narrow it down by different dates? Could you narrow it down by verified or not? Could you narrow it down by fund source or maybe a particular invoice number? Okay, things like that. So I can tell you right now that if I needed to do that, then I would want to edit the 105 bills. So then I do a find for the 105. Now these are new bills that I just put in. Those can be edited to 8 units. Click Save, and then that one will work. Okay? Because they're unverified, they just changed. So you have to play around with how you can manipulate Mass Edit to do what you need to do if you have bills that had edited already. But if you've already done a bunch of stuff to 1 month, then yeah, unfortunately you're going to have to go one by one in the bill edit module to make those changes, okay, to the new bills only. Because, and by new bills, what I mean when I say that is if you look, first of all, go in here, sort by date of service, because then you get to see the edits in order, okay? So you can see that the 8th here, this was the original verified bill, here's the credit, here's the new bill, okay? So when you come in here, that would be what I would do to see how they're that certain date. And then you always want to grab the bottom one because that one is going to be the one you can still edit. Okay? I cannot edit this one because the -4 and 8 exist. Usually that's the pattern. Now if you're using this thing all the time, the bottom thing, and changing stuff into other things, then this is not as easy to follow, but most of the time you're not going to use that, so this is pretty much a good rule of thumb to know that this is how I find the bill that I need to change. So if you find out that the 105 bill should be 100, well, right now you could delete these two because they're unverified. Or when this is verified, you would take this one and change it back to 100. Okay, you don't edit this one anymore. You start with the more recent one and change that. Okay, like this one here on the 9th. If we found out that well, I've changed this so much already. Maybe it should have been S5151, okay? You would not edit this to S5151. You would edit this one to S5151, okay? Which is the other respite all per diem one. Okay? All right. I want to show you a few more reports in here. No, I don't want to do that. In the billing, we do have reports still in MICIS. The bill posting and editing ones that we saw before are available in here as well to get anytime you want. It's based on enter edit date range, has to be entered. So if you really have a huge time frame you're looking at, you would want to make that bigger. I don't know if you can take it out. Some reports I don't think you can take it out. If you want to specify a specific vendor, the invoice number, that will only work for the posting and voucher only. If you do want to put a client in there, that only works for the bill editing and the non-service reports only. And data service date range is also, you can specify. And again, the user thing. So 4 different reports in here. I'm just going to run all 4 for you. You can sort them by invoice number or vendor. I always use the default. And when you run those, then it will give you a report. Now, the edits we made will also show on the bill posting report. Just because they're an edit doesn't mean anything. They were posted. So regardless of how they got posted, they're on the bill posting report. So that work I did for Pillsbury Doughboy, changing to the different price, that's all right here. I only grabbed an edit date range of 210 since those bills were originally posted on a different day for the original. Those aren't showing up, the 4s. Okay? So if you just want the edits, this is a way to do that. And here's Shira. Okay, posted 4, then we took it out. 8, and then we took out 4, etc. So these reports show the detail of those bills and then sums them up by client and invoice, and there's a grand total. So it starts the invoice, etc. So that's the bill post report. Let's look at voucher next is what I want to look at. Voucher is something similar. It's just sorted a little differently. Instead of by invoice, it goes by vendor, and then it shows the invoice under the vendor, and then fund source, etc., and then shows all the clients. So this is a different type of report, but basically it kind of has the same stuff on it. So again, that information is available to you. Okay, it's just a little different layout. Then there is the bill edit report we showed before. This looks very similar as the before, so there's really nothing to talk about here except for that it's just a different way to run it. And then there's a non-service report. This is the details of all the non-services that I entered this day, which you could have put a date range in of what services. So if you needed a report of all the non-services in a date range, you could run this report and get the detail of who got and what vendors to see what dates of service particularly they had. Okay? So those are all available to you in the reports menu, reports, billing, bill post, edit, voucher, non-service. There's another report, care plans with no bills. This still is a useful report because if like I go to, let me go back to, I'm going to do all January, let me do 12. Okay, you can specify the date range, you can put in a vendor, and you have to select at least one fund source. You could select multiples by doing the shift or the control clicks, you know, whatever you want to do, and then click OK. And these are going to show you people that have a care plan that says that they should have services, but there's been no bills posted that month. Okay, some of these would be okay. You know, people that may be in the hospital and they're in for more than 30 days, they may have a care plan still set up. The template may be stopped, but the care plan could still be going. Or, you know, there's various other reasons, you know, that they wouldn't maybe get a service for a month. But you would want to have the supports coordinators look at this, or, you know, you guys look at it and make sure that, first of all, the vendor's giving you everything to post. So if you're wondering, are all my bills in yet, then you would know because you'd run this report after you posted them and find out we're missing some people. Okay? So this is a handy report for that, and it tells you in here, you know, the vendor, the person, the vendor, care plan line information, etc. This also could be used to find out that maybe somebody told the vendor to stop providing the service, but it never got to data entry. That would also show up on here. Okay, so it's a nice little report to run every so often to just double check on things. And that's reports, billing, care plans with no bills. Okay, those are the only reports in MICIS that it's going to show you. Now, the other reports related to billing are available inside the reports portal, which comes, if you go in Compass, log in, go to Compass Reports Portal, it pops up this. And on the Services tab, well, I got to log in again. Okay, let's do this because I timed out. I've been in here too long. So I have to log back into Compass, which then will let me log into the Reports portal. Okay, so then you go to the Services tab. And on the Services tab, there is expenditure reports that you may want to use for your accounting department if you wanted to give them detail or a summary report of your billing that you've just posted. You have some similar criteria you had before. You can put in a date range, enter edit date ranges here, again, verify status. There's certain reports you can run it for a person, and so those ones have a status of whether you want an open person, which it defaults to, or if you need somebody that's closed, you could pull somebody closed, and then it would show you the list of episodes that you could choose from, so if you just want one person. Certain fund sources could be specified if you had a vendor you wanted to run, a service, particularly invoice, etc., down this whole line. When you're running these reports, I prefer, if ever I'm running something that I want dollars for, okay, this is especially for my choice, I do not pick program, okay? There is too many issues between you know, whether they're waiver I, P, or Y, I might miss expenditures if I start choosing program on service reports. Okay? The reason I say that is because for my choice, you have certain fund sources that are the my choice fund sources. So there really isn't a need to pick a program because you said that they're this fund, so therefore they should be a my choice person, therefore I should never have to pick a program. Okay? Excuse me. The only exception to this would be maybe you want to find out the expenditures of people that have waiver pending status. I get that. That makes total sense to me. Or maybe you want to pull bills that are not 105 when they're waiver I. Okay? Totally acceptable. Those make sense. They're like a double check. I love it. That would be great if you guys pay attention to that. Most people don't have enough time for that. But that's something you could do there. But I would never say waiver Y on here. You may limit yourself more than you want to, because what if there's a data service that is on a different, you know, OSA CM day on accident, or the waiver I day, or something else? Then you're limiting what really got spent. So I try not to pick this, especially when it comes to like accounting reports. Pick this or any of these other status-related things. Same thing with care setting. You know, you may say home. Well, some people are not home; they're in the assisted living ones, okay, or adult foster care or HFAs. So, home is a differently defined term depending on how people are using it. You have abilities to exclude some services here. You also have a report format of CSV if you want, or a PDF. Okay, then there's these 6 reports. So you just check which reports you want to run. You click Generate Reports. I ran all these already to show you what they look like because they take forever on this lovely thing. I was going to show you the participant one first. The participant expenditures report is the detail by person. It's one of the few that do. So it tells you that, this is the criteria you used. Here's the vendor, here's the service standard mark, and then here's the people that use that. This happens to be one. This vendor, H2015, all these different people used it. It gives you how much they used as a total. So this has not got detail like the bill post and voucher report, and at the end it gives you a grand total. Okay, so there's that report. There's expenditures by vendor and service is another one. So this one now gets rid of the client detail and just shows you what we saw before, but minus client detail, but give me distinct counts of people that were served by that. Okay, so that's available to you. There's also the service and vendor, the opposite of this one. So instead of grouping by vendor first, it groups by service first and shows all the vendors that are providing that service. It's another one you could run. The other one that the people are running for accounting, there's 2 of them actually. This expenditures by fund source and service. This may have too much detail for your accounting, so there's another one called condensed because this one goes down to the standard remark level. Okay, so you could see how much money was posted to each of these things by service, not vendor, but by service, unless you ran it for a vendor. You could run this for a particular vendor. That's what most people would do. They run it for a particular vendor and run this, and then the accounting knows that, okay, this is all for this fund source, and these are the services doing it, and then it breaks it down by fund source. And there's this optional signature for your billing people to use, to sign off on if they want to. So that's available there. There's also the condensed version, which is the same thing except for get rid of the procedure and standard mark detail. Okay, and it does not have the signature on that one because when they requested this, they didn't have it. But you can just sign it yourself. But yeah, it gives you the total for that fund. So if there's multiple pots of money that were coming out, then this would be a great report for the accounting to know, okay, which pot of money am I paying each of these amounts from when they write their checks to the vendors or whatnot. Okay. And then the other one in here is expenditures by month. This is just a summary by month, which I only ran it for 1 month, so I only see 1 month. But if you wanted to see a summary by each month and a grand total maybe for the fiscal year or whatnot, you can do that. Then it would list here. It's just those, anything that you run for more than a month's date range in here may take a while. So don't expect instantaneous results. The other reports that you can run are the care plan comparison. It has similar things. I'm not actually going to even bother showing you the criteria for it. But care plan, there's care plan commitment and care plan bills comparison. Care plan commitment, which we commonly do CPC in an acronym for it. There's 3 different reports. There's a projection report, a participant summary, and a participant detail report. These just show how much you are projecting to pay out. So the projection report is just by month, how many units, how much the total cost, and how much, the number of participants. And then there's a summary by participant. So it breaks that down, okay, into the people. And then the other detail is pulling even more information out of the actual care plans and, where that money exactly is getting spent or will be spent when it comes through. So those are care plan commitment. This is how much you've committed to spend. Now, then there is the comparison reports that there's 3 of. There's a care plan bills comparison report, which again is by the month, and it shows you what the projected amounts are, the number of people that are served, and actually billed. Okay, so and then it shows you the percent difference, so that you can see, okay, how much comparatively am I always billing compared to what we're actually authorizing. So that's available. Then there's a one down to the participant level as well. So that gives you the participant totals by projections and actual billed. And there's also a vendor one in here. And so that would break down by vendor with the projected to build. So you can see if somebody's not, this is another thing to see if somebody's not performing or sending in all their bills or whatnot. Then if you ran this report, you would see that, wait, we only have 40% of their bills in. Okay, that's not good. So that's another quick way to do that. Then there's also another report in here, the non-service summary. So if you need to run a report on, by vendor, how many non-services are going on, or maybe you're monitoring a vendor in particular, you could run this report and see how many events that they had. So original scheduled visits, so that's how many times they were supposed to go out. And then over here is the various non-service reasons described below, and the count of how many non-services. So the total participant events, meaning the participant reasons, there's 1. And then the vendor reasons are over here, there's 0. So it tells you that 0.6% of this is that vendor. Okay? But overall, it's only 0.5 over all the vendors. Okay, of all between the scheduled visits, etc. So as you post non-services, and you want to run a month, you can run it for a month, you can run it for a year, whatever. This would be a way that you can report some of those figures to the state as well if you're tracking non-services in the system. The detail is only available though through MICIS billing reports. Okay. Okay, so that is everything I wanted to cover for today. Is there any questions for me? I have 5 minutes to spare. Go me. No? Okay. Well, if you do have questions, feel free to contact the help desk. You can email HelpStar or give us a call. We prefer the emails to HelpStar just so that it's not interruptive of our work. But other than that, that is MICIS in a nutshell. And if you let us know if you have any problems, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.